It's back to the salt mines, grade 10s. Let's get started with our new section of work for the second semester. Welcome to my online English lessons, created for all students and teachers who have been forced to discover new ways of teaching and learning. If you find my video lessons helpful, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and tell your friends. It's a small way that we can contribute to South African education in these somewhat uncomfortable times. This week we are going to study the rule of Concord, what the rest of the world calls subject-verb agreement. I reckon that you already know quite a bit about this. Let's see if I'm correct. I'm sure that there isn't a single person watching this video who doesn't know that the first sentence here is wrong. I are teaching you. No. I am teaching you. Yes. But why? What's the grammatical reason for this? Because it sounds right is not a grammatical reason. What is the problem? Well, this should be obvious. A singular subject must have a singular verb. One problem is. A plural subject must have a plural verb. Many problems are. Easy peasy, right? Let's see if you can get full marks for the pre-assessment quiz. My students have this page in front of them. Well, they should have. I'm trusting them to do this properly. Pause the video, read the instructions, and answer the questions. My students should have an extra advantage. The work has to do with St. Patrick, the patron saint of our school. Are you done? Are you sure? Zip to the end of the video and check your answers. I'll wait for you. Okay, so what does this mean, the rule of Concord? Well, the word concord means to be in agreement, and that's what this is all about. The various parts of a sentence must be in harmony. They must agree. The subject of the sentence must agree with the verb in number, case, and person. Number is easy enough. That refers to whether the subject is singular or plural. But what do case and person mean? Here is a table of pronouns. Pause the video and make sense of this. It's information that you already know. If you want to write about yourself, you'll use pronouns like I, me, and mine. You'll instinctively know to write I am playing rugby and not me is playing rugby. You know when to use the pronoun as a subject, I, and when to use it as an object, me. You'll also know that when a person talks about themselves, it's called first person. When a person uses you, that's second person. And when a person uses he, she, or it, that's third person. And you'll remember to change these pronouns if you're talking about more than one person. So I, singular, would become we, plural. He, she, or it would be they. It's really just common sense, don't you think? Take a moment to study the table on this slide. It shows how pronouns change depending how we use them. The first column shows pronouns as the subject of sentences. I am here, you are there, he is here, she is there. And these are all singular. We watch rugby, you are cheering, they win the match. Those pronouns are all plural. The middle column shows how pronouns change when they are the objects of sentences. Will you take me to the match? Pass the ball to him. And will you take us to the match? We'll celebrate the victory with them. The last column shows how pronouns change when they indicate possession. In the singular, we say, the ticket is mine, that jersey is his. In the plural, the victory is ours, the defeat is theirs. These columns show us what we call the case of the pronouns. But where does the notion of case come from? It's thanks to the Latin roots of the English language. I'm so old that I studied Latin at high school, and I'm so thankful that I did, as it has given me a deeper understanding of how English works. In Latin, a noun can be declined. That doesn't mean turned down. It means changed or adapted to suit the context of the sentence. The Latin nouns changed form so that you could tell just by looking at the ending of the word whether it was to be used as a subject, that's the nominative case, or an object, called the accusative case, or any other cases, such as dative, ablative, genitive, or vocative. Don't panic, it is actually quite easy. Let's have a look on the next slide. Look at the sentences on the right. Every noun or pronoun that I have underlined has a unique function in each sentence. Sia plays rugby. You all know that the proper noun Sia is the subject of that sentence. The noun is therefore in the subjective case or the nominative case. If I change Sia to a pronoun, I know that it must become he plays rugby and not him plays rugby. The pronoun he is therefore also in the subjective, the nominative case. Read through all of the examples and look at how the nouns and pronouns change. As a home language speaker of English, it's enough that you know which pronouns to use and when. But I would be failing you as an English teacher if I didn't explain why we use these cases the way we do. My tip is learn that the subject of the sentence is the nominative case and the object of a sentence is the accusative case. If you're going to study linguistics at university, well, then go back and learn the terms for the other cases. As long as you can understand the humor in this cartoon and be able to explain it, you'll be fine. Now, I must confess, we are going to go through the rules of Concord, and there are a lot of them. Take notes, pausing the video where necessary. The first rule for singular verbs is obvious. They go with singular nouns or pronouns. But they're also used with what we call distributive adjectives, such as much, little, and many. Have a look at these example sentences. Singular verbs are also used when two or more nouns are combined to form one idea. And that's why we say fish and chips is my favorite takeaway meal, and not fish and chips are my favorite meal. There are some nouns that look plural, but are always considered as singular, such as news, series, and a cricket innings. We use singular verbs with names or titles when it's clear that we're referring to one item. And a rather old-fashioned biblical term, wages, is also always considered singular. Collective nouns can be tricky. If we use them to refer to one thing, for example, a flight of stairs, then we use a singular verb. Look at the examples on the slide. If I say that the jury has given its verdict, then I'm referring to one jury, a single jury. But if I say the jury were disputing the suggestions, then I'm referring to the individual members of the jury. In other words, plural. Singular verbs are also used with fractions when the meaning is clearly singular. Obviously, plural verbs are used with plural nouns and pronouns. Please take a note of the second point here. Words like jeans and shorts are plural. You can say I'm wearing a pair of jeans or I'm wearing jeans. Please, please, please don't say I'm wearing a jean to the party. Does that mean your jeans only have one leg? Words like cattle, poultry, and number are also considered plural. But as always, there are some exceptions. So far, so good? Here come some rules that rely on our sense, our common sense. Nouns that end with ICS that are combined with a singular complement are singular. That's why we say physics is an important subject. But when we use the noun to mean something plural, we use a plural verb. The physics of bridge building are challenging to the engineers. You see, it's logical. It does make sense. Another example of common sense usage. If a fraction refers to a singular noun, the verb is singular. An example, 3/8 of the farm was sold. But when the fraction refers to a plural noun, the verb is plural. 3/8 of the animals were sold. For the next rules, you need to understand what an antecedent is. Look at this example sentence. The candidate delivered his speech to the crowd. You understand, don't you, that the his before speech tells us that it's the speech of the candidate. In grammatical terms, we call candidate the antecedent of his. His refers back to candidate. Here's another example. The antecedent of they is hedgehogs. Now, please tell me that you catch the joke in this example, that hedgehogs hog hedges. Yes? I hope you catch the next one too. This one is more difficult. The sentence has an implied speaker who says, "I hate my Russian doll." Here we have three pronouns with three antecedents, one of which is the implied speaker. Write this down. Label it. Did you catch the joke? The Russian babushka doll, full of other dolls, full of herself. Get it? Now that you understand what the antecedent of a pronoun is, you'll see how these pronouns agree with their antecedents in number and person. These are tricky and have been known to cause heated debate amongst teachers when they are marking answer scripts. Be ready to defend your answers by displaying your knowledge of pronouns and their antecedents. Conjunctions are easier. If two singular nouns are joined by and, then you need a plural verb. So Jack and Jill are on the hill. But don't forget about the exception, when the two nouns are considered one thing. Remember, fish and chips is my favorite takeaway. If you use the conjunction or to join nouns, the verb takes the number of the nearer noun. He or they are going. Are is next to they, which is plural. This is called the rule of proximity. The rule of proximity also applies to nouns joined by either or and neither nor. Take a moment to read through these examples. If you join two nouns with as well as, the verb agrees with the first noun. So in these sentences, David was there. The girls were there. Again, take some time to read through and absorb these examples. Sure, how are you feeling after all of that information? A little bit like this boy? Let's see how good you are. There are 4 quick exercises for you to do. My students have these exercises printed on their lesson plan. The rest of you, pause the video and complete each of the 4 slides. Write your answers on paper. Here's the first one. You can put any verbs in the gaps as long as they agree with the subject in person, case, and number. And of course, your sentences must make sense. Here you must find the errors and correct them. Be careful, some of them are not as easy as you assume. Again, you need to correct any Concord errors that you can find here. A tip, there are 7 of them for you to find. You've got the hang of this now, haven't you? Spot the errors again. There are 12 of them here. Surprised you? You thought the answers would be here, didn't you? Yep, I'm that teacher. No easy answers on this slide for you. If you email me, I'll send you the answers. And my pupils who are at home, the same applies to you. Right, we've gone through the theory. How will this be examined in matric? I've looked through past IEB papers and found 4 Concord questions for you. Here's the first one from 2009. There are 3 errors here. The first one is a spelling error. The second is a Concord error. And the third is a dangling participle. Can you find them? Did you get the answers correct? Let's look at an exam question example from 2014. The Concord error is in point 1, and there is a punctuation error in point 3. Take note of the mark allocation. Here you have to both name the type of error and correct it. Too often candidates leave out some of the detail from their answers and throw away marks unnecessarily. Did you get plays and its? Did you name the errors? The 2014 supplementary exam has another example for you. There are 3 errors here. The first one is a pronoun case error. The second is a comma splice error. And the third is a Concord error. Compare your answer with this one. How did you do? Here's the last one from 2017. This should be easy. There's just one word that needs to be corrected. Yes, you're correct. Sets should be set. You should be well able to complete this assessment for me. My students, you have the worksheet on your lesson plan. Here are the first 3 marks of the 15-mark assessment. The passage is about Wade van Niekerk, South Africa's world record holder. He is hoping he's able to participate in the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo in 2021. That's it. You've completed your work on Concord or subject-verb agreement. If you need specific help with this work, you're welcome to email me. Please like, share, and subscribe to the Mrs. M Teaches English YouTube channel so that more students can keep up with exam preparation. Hello. I hope you're here because you first answered all the questions on slide 8. Pause the video here and check your own answers.